tell me, I mean, he's been called the Jewish Mark Twain. Where did that come from? And do you think it's accurate?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, Mark Twain, he said, "Oh, they call me the American Sholem Aleichem." Really, that really happened. Yes, for the same reason. They were a product of the folk culture.
One of Sholem Aleichem's characters has even been called the Jewish Tom Sawyer, right?
Could that have been Motl, maybe, do you think?
Motl, yes, Motl.
Indeed. He's just a kid. He's a 9-year-old. This is also written in the first person. Takes place over several years, but he never seems to age. But he's mischievous. He's full of life. He's curious. He's inventive. He's very feeling about other people's sorrows. And nothing troubles him for too long. He overcomes everything. The stories he tells are hilarious, but at the same time, you're learning about his extended family, about his widowed mother and how she cries all the time because she misses her recently deceased husband, and his older brother takes over the family, and he's married to this really kind of nasty, picky lady who Motl doesn't like, and then there are neighbors and all kinds of shenanigans and ways to make money occur during the book. And they're wonderful stories, and this family decides, because it's that time of Jewish history, that they can no longer live in Russia. It's time to move on and try to get across the ocean to America.
The stories about Motl were the last things that Sholem Aleichem wrote. He wrote them at the very end of his life, but he was channeling this 9-year-old boy. And what's interesting to me also about Motl is that it's a book that takes place both in Europe and in New York, just like Wandering Stars.
Exactly.
Wandering Stars is another book that you've just translated for us. Tell us a little bit about Wandering Stars.
In Wandering Stars, they start off the two children, really, just teenagers who are very talented, who love each other. The troupe comes to town to perform, and they are so taken with it that they do two things. They pledge that they will always love each other and eventually marry, and they decide to run away with the troupe. Both of them run away from home, unthinkable. And en route, they are separated. The carriages in which they are taken go different directions. And for the rest of the book, they never see each other. I shouldn't say, don't tell anybody. But in the meantime, we follow each of them. He, the hero, who becomes a famous actor. He's very talented, and he is a star. He's like a rock star. And that, I think, mirrors a little bit of Sholem Aleichem himself, because when he needed money, and when he was still in Russia, he was able to perform his own works. He had gigs, literally reading his own stories. People would stand outside waiting for him to come. They would carry him on their shoulders. Rosa, the woman, the girl, is a very talented vocalist, a singer, who follows a completely different track but winds up as famous as he is. The whole book, with all of these characters, concludes when they all, not together, separately, cross the Atlantic Ocean in ships and turn up in 2nd Avenue, Lower East Side, on the stage.
This is really a wonderful novel about the Yiddish theater.
I'm old enough to remember being taken there as a very young kid. I wish I remembered more, but Molly Pecan, who wound up in the movies, Menashe Skolnick, I mean, these were stars.
It's interesting to me that Sholem Aleichem wrote this great novel of the theater, and then one of his greatest works, Tevye the Dairyman, went on to be made into a work for the theater, Fiddler on the Roof, of course. What might Tevye the Dairyman, the book, have looked like if it were adapted for the Yiddish theater?
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing for somebody to do.
But Fiddler on the Roof, it must retain something of the spirit of the original work.
There are hints of it in Fiddler on the Roof. They come and they tell him, Tevye, it's time to go, and then they sing a song, and that's it. And then the end of the play is Anna Tevka looking for an old familiar place. This was the end of their lives. They didn't find another place. So it's much less hopeful than the play. He wanted to convey what a horrible situation many Jews lived in, but that there was always faith and hope and scriptures and humor.
Humor. All right. Well, this was fun, Aliza.
Okay, John. Have a nice weekend.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you to Aliza Shevrin for joining us on today's program. Sholem Aleichem's Tevye the Dairyman and Motl the Cantor's Son and Wandering Stars are available wherever books are sold and at www.penguin.com.